The United States Department of Justice says San Francisco's restrictions on houses of worship during the coronavirus pandemic are, quote, draconian. In a letter sent to the city's mayor last week, the Department of Justice also said a rule allowing only one person in a house of worship at a time is, quote, wholly at odds with the nation's traditional understanding of religious liberty and may violate the First Amendment to the Constitution. San Francisco's restrictions on public worship are among the strictest in the country. Joining us now is Archbishop Salvatore Cordileone, head of the Archdiocese of San Francisco. Your Excellency, thank you so much for joining us today. We appreciate your time.
You're certainly welcome.
Well, right now, as we speak, the restrictions remain in place. Let's talk about that and also your reaction to the Department of Justice letter to San Francisco's mayor. Do you think it will have any effect?
Well, first of all, I'm very grateful to the Department of Justice that they've noticed what we've been suffering under in San Francisco and have intervened to protect our rights to worship. So I'm very grateful and relieved. And the letter made a number of very important points, one of which you mentioned at the beginning of the show. I was also struck by the letter's sentence about the Constitution's unyielding protection for religious believers is what distinguishes the United States from other places that are dominated by tyranny and despotism. So that is a very critical point. Will it have an effect? Well, as a matter of fact, I found out literally about 5-10 minutes ago that it has had an effect. The city just announced the next health order that is now opening up places of worship, houses of worship indoors for worship services, up to 25% capacity or a total number of 100, which is what the guideline that the state issues. That already is very problematic that there's a numerical limit placed on it because other comparable sorts of places and activities do not have a numerical limit. But the city has acknowledged that our people have been suffering under these severe restrictions and that they need to return to worship. So they have now are clearing the way for us to return to indoor worship to the maximum that the city can, which is within the guideline that the state of California sets.
Can you talk a little bit about what it's been like trying to minister to your flock with the restrictions in place?
Well, certainly it has been very challenging. For a couple of months, we were not able to have any services at all when all the shelter-in-place orders started back in March, and there was a great fear and panic and a lot of lack of knowledge about the virus. So everyone will recall how just everything in society just basically shut down. That was very difficult, but I'm grateful that my priests were finding creative ways to stay in touch through, well, a lot of parishes were live streaming masses. We did that from the cathedral. I celebrated Mass every day and a live stream Mass every day throughout Lent and the Easter season as a way of trying to keep in touch with my people. When things started opening up, they still kept pretty severe restrictions on religious services. So then it started becoming very frustrating. First, we have 3 counties in the Archdiocese, but San Francisco has been the most restrictive. For about 2 months, they were allowing only outdoor with a limit of 12 people outdoors. So we started having multiple masses on our Cathedral Plaza, which is very large. We were having 12 masses at 12 each. Then the city opened it up to 50 a couple of weeks ago. So we had multiple masses of 50, although the health order included a provision that multiple gatherings are prohibited at the same location. So clearly seemed to be targeting us. And that's when they also put in this other provision of only one person at a time inside of church to pray. Well, at the same time, in that same health order, they opened up indoor services that involve extended one-on-one contact, such as nail and hair salons and tattoo parlors and massage parlors and these kinds of services. So it's been very distressing. Our people have been suffering. They need the Eucharist. They need the fellowship of their fellow believers. Other faith traditions are happy continuing live streaming, doing it virtually, but as a sacramental church, and I'm in touch with the Orthodox communities in San Francisco as well, and they're suffering the same fate. We're sacramental churches. You can't you can't live stream the Eucharist. It has to be in person. So I'm grateful that the city authorities have acknowledged this and are allowing us to return without any impeding us from returning to indoor worship in accordance with these sound safety guidelines.
Yeah, it certainly is good news. And we thank you so much for joining us today and speaking with us. We really appreciate it. Archbishop Salvatore Cordileone, head of the Archdiocese of San Francisco. Thank you so much, Your Excellency.
You're welcome, and thank you.